Today's project is a home repair, and it's dealing with this unit right here. This wall was not holding these two deep cabinets. It began sagging over time. I tried not to store heavy items in these deep cabinets. The cabinets are made of 3/4-inch plywood, so they're heavy cabinets all by themselves. Plus, the bottom of the doors were rubbing on the hinges of the refrigerator. I tried to support the cabinets with a small block of wood slipped under the cabinets on top of the refrigerator, but it kept sliding out of place. The long span of the two deep units was just too much length for good support, so we decided to correct the matter and give the unit extra support. The left side of the unit only had a thin board that was supported at the front. I also had an old junction box that is no longer in use that was showing behind the unit, so my plan is to shift the whole unit to the left just a few inches to cover that junction box. My son had built me a broom closet, but he miscalculated and made the unit flush with the front doors, so if we had added on the doors would stick out much further than the overhead cabinet doors, which would look very odd. So we needed to trim off some of the depth from the back end of the unit. He made a solid unit, so cutting off a small section was not too difficult to do. We used a combination of jigsaw and awsaw to do that job. First task was to empty the contents of the unit so that we could remove everything from the wall. While we had everything apart, my husband decided to pull out both the refrigerator and freezer to clean out underneath and behind. He also vacuumed the underside of the appliances. Doing this will lengthen the use of your freezer and refrigerator if you do that from time to time. There was a lot of dust there too. We found a bunch of toys that the cats had lost under the appliances as well. We took some small strapping to build a frame that would house the refrigerator and freezer, making the height just a tad taller. With the frame, we could then attach the thin left side wall and better secure that wall, preventing it from wobbling. I know the frame is thin, so you're probably thinking, well, that's not going to give much support to the above cabinets. I also built a small frame to set on the top of the freezer under the frame to support the center of the structure. The frame rests on top of the freezer, which makes it load-bearing, holding the center of the whole unit. That frame is screwed into the main frame that we built, and it's screwed from above, so if we ever have to pull out the freezer, we could still do that without any trouble. We made 2 rows of the framework, and then we attached crossbars to hold them together. We assembled the frame in the living room, where we had more room to work. Since the wood is small, my husband pre-drilled holes before driving screws to join the wood. That would prevent the wood from splitting. I also added 2 crossbars on both sides of the legs of the unit so that we would have a place to screw the side wall and the broom closet to better secure the whole unit. Framework gave legs to the cabinets, which also made it much easier to set the cabinets in place, having a place to set them on, rather than standing there and holding it while you're trying to screw it into the wall. The cabinets are still screwed to the wall, but they now have help on 3 additional sides, keeping them in place. This whole unit ended up being slightly wider than what was originally there, so I had to make a spacer between the wall and the cabinet of the refrigerator. I sanded the front of that piece to make it as smooth as possible before painting it. The broom closet will also be screwed on to the frame, completing the strength of the unit, making it one solid unit. Since the whole unit is now a little bit taller than it had been, we needed to add a base under both the side left wall and the broom closet.
I've been screwing with this screw, and I noticed that if you turn it to the right, it seems to bring it down. It seems to bring the door down.
The doors needed some adjustments. One door had developed a creak because it had been rubbing on the refrigerator's hinge. With the unit sagging, it also caused the doors to hang crooked. But luckily, the hinges have screws that can be adjusted, correcting the height and position of each individual door. One screw deals with the horizontal position, the other screw adjusts the vertical or height of the doors. My son made the doors for the broom closet, using some molding to get them to look similar to my other cabinets. Okay, so the top cabinet doesn't have the cathedral top as all the other top cabinets. That's okay. I'm fine with that. I painted the dark glaze on all the seams so that they matched the rest of my kitchen cabinets. We finished off both sides against the wall with some trim. I painted the trim and the bases that we added underneath the two side pieces and any little areas that I had to use joint compound or any places that I filled in holes. Since I didn't need very much paint to complete this job, I purchased a small sample of paint from the hardware store. I did not find the exact paint color, so I had to mix some of my acrylic paints to try and get the color as close as I could to the paint finish that is on our cabinets. I got pretty close. On the broom closet, inside on the left, I added a rack to house all the brooms and mops and cleaning tools. I added a row of screw hooks to hang all the aprons. On the back pegboard, I added hooks for the specialty cleaning rags. Now, all the clutter is contained within the cabinet, making less clutter on the outside of the unit. I liked my hanging rack that I had before, but it no longer fits the shallow cabinet because we shortened it, remember? And I have no other place to put it, so I guess I will have to part with it. Eventually, I will need to replace all my doorknobs and drawer pulls because I cannot find matching ones for what the rest of my kitchen has. We fixed everything that was going wrong with this unit, and now the space looks much neater where all the clutter is hidden behind doors. And that's the way I like it. Thanks for watching.